are listening to The Subtle Forces. I am your host, Anja, and I have exactly 1 hour to come up with a podcast because this has been a really crapsome, crazy, mix-max, week. And this is the 1 hour that I have set aside for coming up, creating, and editing a podcast that I hope in the end measures to be exactly 29 minutes before I have to make lunch and then catch a bus. The first bus I have taken in over a year, because now I am fully vaccinated and I am not terrified of the bus, and I will ride this bus across town and I will arrive for a meeting. But anyways, let's see if I can make a podcast, because I have a bunch of recordings in the vault and maybe I can just mix, max, mash, mushti, bushti, gushti, blushti, blushti, geista, a podcast for you. If you don't already know, I do speak in Rhatasian. Rhotasia is my native country. I came here when I was still a kid. If you don't know where Rhotasia is, look it up. It's worth knowing about. We have a beautiful, wonderful culture, and I can tell you all about it in Rhatasian. Hushtikalaite stakato to kadistika. Hushtori kalesto hainkantoi huli. Lakisti lokajabla. Urikadisti lakadalot. Kuti puta gustakadiere.
Let's see what key it's in now. Because this thing will change musical key if you let it.
Ushtikadaito, Scott Joplin Museum, St. Louis, Missouri. Ushtikada kodleta tortilakitu, pototo diladida mustakata. Ushtikada koi toilinkantum flump.
I know was born and one I know goes. And the bright comes in back my head. Oh, at night just when the tree is sleeping on the dandelion. I am in a very thinking mind. Whoa, F2 and 3. Da-da-da, exciting, cranberry, write your paper, study your text.
Brumpy frumpy kastala kotoke yasta. Look like her. Ushtikalader 2006? Blobbly stickaida. Hotakatishtikabo. Hi. In case you were curious, I totally failed to produce a 29-minute podcast in the 1 hour I had put aside for myself this week. And now it is after I have taken the bus and I had my meeting. Those babies that were crying just now were recorded at my meeting that I am talking about as I sit on the corner of Pleasant and Water, speaking into my recorder. So now I am talking to you on this somewhat noisy corner where people sitting on their porches are yelling, "I like your dog!" But I took the bus, and it was a great feeling to ride the bus again. I got a few looks on the bus, because not only did I have the required mask, but I also had on my sunglasses and my hood, and there was probably not an inch of my face visible. It was my birthday recently, and I was looking at photographs that my family had of me as a baby, and there's this picture of me on the couch with my dad, and I'm just a bundle of blankets next to my dad as he's reading, and he has his arm around this bundle of blankets, but you don't actually see any skin, you don't see any face, you don't see any arms. It just looks like a bundle of blankets, but you know there's a life force in there. Just as I think people who saw me on the bus assumed that there was a life force in me too, even though they couldn't see any fleck of my face or hands because I have gloves on. I could have been just a pile of clothes walking onto the bus and sitting down, but they'll never know. We were sitting in the backyard. There was a fire, and it was smoking. It was very, very wet, smoky fire. It was getting in my face. I was breathing it in. I was getting it entwined in my curls and the fibers of my coat. I knew that if I didn't wash my coat, it would smell like fire for days, if not years. I was trying to breathe, but the oxygen in my blood was being replaced with smoke. I started to feel ill, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was feeling hot and bothered and panicky, and then I realized it was the smoke I was breathing in. And so I just relaxed into the funky feeling, and soon I didn't feel so bad. And we were talking. Victoria was speaking. Victoria was talking about her electric drum set in the attic. And I asked her, would it be possible to get some beats for my podcast? And Victoria said, I have a whole folder. It's all ready for you. We are listening to the beats of Victoria as she practices in her attic. These are not the beats of a dude, as you might automatically assume when you hear beats. This is the pulse of Victoria.
Take that Play-Doh and you shove it down into the Play-Doh jar. It emits a fart. You take that Play-Doh and you roll it out. You roll it with a rolling pin. You smell that Play-Doh and it smells like salt. It smells like elbows. It smells like knees. You press that Play-Doh into your knee and you look at the imprint. All those little bumps. All those little bumps and hairs in your knees and elbows. Look at that Play-Doh texture. Play-Doh tastes like salt, especially if you make it at home. Though technically then it's not Play-Doh, is it? Because that is a brand name. And nothing your mom makes with baking soda is going to be brand name unless it's Arm and Hammer.
I'm realizing there's a strong possibility that today will be the first time my parents ever see my apartment on the inside. That they may actually walk inside of it now that we are all vaccinated. We're all supposed to ride in the same car, so I'm imagining that when they drop me off, they'll stop and they'll ask, can I see the inside of your apartment? And of course, I'll oblige. But you know what? They will not be pleased when they enter my kitchen. Because every dish in the house is soiled and sitting on the kitchen table, on the counter. The whole sink, both sides, is full of streaked, gravy-crusted, chia kimchi-stained, blah! Everywhere, gritty, dirty, stinky bean odor-emitting dishes. Dishes that I could be washing right now, except that I am telling you about them. And that seems more important in the view of the artist. but I am clenching my stomach and buttocks just thinking of my parents seeing this horrifying sight. Hi, Mom.
We're going to be leaving from here at about 2.
2? Okay. All right.
I think it'll take a little while from your house. Okay.
Okay.
To get to your house and then, all right.
Okay, bye. Now in English. Mom and Dad are coming, Mom and Dad are coming, my Mom and Dad are coming, my Mom and Dad are coming, they're gonna see my dishes, they're so disgusting, oh my god, yeah, gross, I have been too busy to do dishes, and they're everywhere, they're on every surface, table, counter, and the sink, I'm afraid this episode has turned into a bit of a dumping ground. A mashed, whooshed, quooshed flock of all sorts of refuse. Much like my writer friend, you know Freesia, but in case you don't, my writer friend, Freesia, keeps 2 documents when she writes. One for writing and one for dumping.
Well, a lot of people, including myself, have like those documents where everything you remove, you put into this other throwaway document. And there's always the thought in the back of my head that I'll go back in this document and like write another piece on the same topic. And sometimes I do write about the same topic, but I never go back in that throwaway document.
And
It's
then,
just there to make you feel better.
Right, yeah. So then I have all these documents on my computer that are like cut from blog posts, cut from other blog posts.
I would love to make a piece out of the things in your graveyard.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And now a piece composed entirely of lines that Freesia McKee threw out from her Word documents. As my dad used to say, garbage in, garbage out. What can I say about this that hasn't been said before? I wanted to send you this letter because we are alive and don't want to shame anyone for plastic surgery. I like potential as a noun because it's non-specific. There are many ways to devise a flotation device. I eat too much salt. He began dreaming in sound. You can choose to leave and still want to go home. To go without was virtuous. Queerness is other, awareness of not belonging, wandering through the park and looking at the differences in tree bark, most visible during a solar eclipse. Something about lizards. A keen ability to spot coins or lost earrings in the grass or on the sidewalk. You have to sit very still. The animals shouldn't know you're there. Every member is also the audience. Old people are not disposable, not relatives, not there for babysitting, but when we saw them, it was a window into another world, a legendary Nebraska snowstorm. Our boss used to work at Trout Unlimited. That's where Bruce lived. His brothers can all build boats, ones you could step into and sail away. Let your suspicion ring forth. These men are heavily misquoted. Observe how our opinions change. What is there to say about Emily Dickinson and iguanas? What else was she to decorate the room with? If you don't have anything to attribute accurately, don't attribute anything at all. It was a decidedly horrifying way to die. What do I do to get a thrill? Every time I'm put in front of a computer and asked to DJ, I clam up and get nervous that I will play the wrong thing or offend someone. This country has always been at war. Make sure your line is confident. Don't let your line falter. So, in the meantime and beyond, what will you do to participate? Those were all the words of Freesia McKee, not I. Thank you to the very enthusiastic docent at the Scott Joplin Museum who allowed me to record the player pianos. Thank you to Brian Rott and Jenni Renke for crying as babies with me at our meeting last week. Thank you to Victoria Robison, who provided the beats. And thank you to Freesia for providing your graveyard throwaway document. Those were your words, not mine. But I rearranged them into a perplexing word salad. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write us a review on whatever format you're listening through. Theme music by Anton Sieger. It only took me 2 weeks to make this mishmash push dash whooshly gosh lash the kaflan in the kind of